Yeah, now all roads lead to successful renovation in Britain, and really shored up our idea of the smaller community and how we can be an integral partner with that, and securing that financing through some public resources as well as traditional financing. Yeah.
And really, we were introduced through that process through Bobby, and lots of connections. And again, we bring those relationships at her level. She spent 10 years at Millbank, in charge of the community development. And yeah, she's opened lots of doors for us, which we would say those doors are open for you as well when we go through these programs. Yeah, pick up the phone and to talk to those people and know them by name. It's nice. Obviously, we were successful, and good job, Clint. Good job, Bobby. And again, it's part of our business plan is to work in the rural communities, and we've kind of demonstrated that over my time in the development business as well. So we think we can help you securing some grants from the DOT, the LIP and the GEOD, finding resources from rural communities, South Dakota Housing, and the Read and Grow. We've actually worked with all three of these, our company at this point. So we kind of look at this as one of the important slides in your evaluation of the proposals that we offer and can provide to you. And then a little more visual pictures, the next slide, which is number 5. So we only got 7 left to go. And that's really the design of how this all lays out. And so we tried to take the work that DGR Engineering had provided early on, and we did some modifications to it, really looking at the whole master plan of what the project development needed to be and address. Looked at the streets, looked at the roads, how they might be able to be expanded in the future. We carved out a significant park space in this area, 3.4 acres. That's more like a ball field, but we think it would add a lot of interest, excitement, value to the people in the community that live in this particular area. And again, that can go away, or that can be reduced in size, but that's always something to consider. But really our phase 1, if you look at it, phase 1 is we've carved off 8.4 acres, and the reason we kind of carved that off is we tried to look at the GGR map and look at their utilities, where we think we don't have to invest a lot of infrastructure. We can use natural flow, natural gravity. And that's all important itself. So we tried to extend that and respect that, what DGR had provided us for phase 1. And that's where we kind of ended phase 1. Maybe we pushed the boundaries a little bit when we get to lot 10 or 11, but we think we're really close. And so those first 11 lots, we work with TIF. TIF has a certain criteria for how much the homes can be sold for. We worked again pretty closely with Toby to share this map and our strategy, and he worked closely with us when we built Millbank. And so we feel that we have a pretty good TIF package. We understand the criteria that they look at and what we can deliver to the community, and that's to provide those 11 lots and houses for $275,000 or less, including the lot and the infrastructure.
Can I also add that from our first meetings here, when Lane and I first came down, and we first sat down with the mayor and had a couple of meetings with him, and then with Mike and your group. So really always what we try to work to is the goals that were outlined by the mayor in the vision that you all have. And so certainly this is DGR's outline, but that first phase is built directly on Mayor Osby's vision for this community and what he really felt like was needed here. And so we really tried to build that into the first phase so it totally meets your objectives, because that's our goal, is to provide a solution-based build out for the community of Crooks. So that first thing out of the mayor's mouth is we need apartments here. We need places for teachers to live that are going into your new school. You're gonna have a young overflow of people into the community. So that was really his vision. And then when we got to the housing group here, that was your vision also. So, the land encompasses that, and we really want to work to what your goal is. So we're partnering with you to provide what you need, not what we think you need, but what you have explicitly demonstrated to us through your housing survey and just your personal knowledge of your community.
And so part of our phase one is to build, and I said right here, I just said a 24 or 30 unit multifamily apartment complex. And you can see the site, we've actually got designed for 2 structures there, but we would build one first, meaning our company SLH, build it, manage it, finance it, and hopefully if successful, we would build a second one right next to it. And at the same time, we plan to spec 4 to 6 of these homes, which is basically half of the lots that we would plan to spec ourselves and have product available for the community to purchase. You know, in addition to this, as I mentioned, you know, if there's other developers that if we buy and develop 6 of these lots for spec homes, if other developers want to buy the land, we're not saying we're exclusively going to not let them buy that land. As long as it's at the fair price, the market price, which we'll establish with our partnership, then we would sell that. And they could build the specs according to the covenants of that particular phase. But again, our investment coming out of the gates quickly would be to build next spring to start on a apartment complex and 4 to 6 spec homes to satisfy that requirement for the TIF. And obviously, if we do that, and if we're successful, you know, by the fall, we would hope to continue to build these spec homes, which that'd be our intentions, and maybe within a year that phase one would be pretty much sold out. And so then phase two, we've kind of structured this a little bit differently. We went with a townhome concept, and this would be more of an association arrangements. There would be a duplex for townhomes. There would be 2 units per lot, so there'd be 26 units there. And again, they would belong to an association. These would be mainly zero entry homes, so could appeal to a number of different people. Those who don't like stairs, those who want a little smaller home, and we would take care of their lawn and the snow removal. So we think that would probably be an association that's unique in that particular area, because it just, the way it's set up, it structures it nicely where you can pull that association off nicely. And then part of our strategy was that if we get to phase 2, you like it, if you donate all that land to us like you did in phase 1, then basically we would donate the land, the 3.4 acres, back to you immediately. Now you could skip that step and just donate the land to the park if that's what you want, but ultimately somebody's got to pay for that investment. So that's kind of my contribution, one of the major contributions to this project, is that give me the land, I'll donate it back, but I'll give you the $60,000 value. I just have to recoup that money. I make less money on the 13 lots, follow my strategy. So we would donate that land. It's not a tax write-off, so that's not what I'm doing this for. Because being in real estate, I have enough of that, right? I got a depreciation schedule that works fine for us, but it's really to create the revenue you folks need, and it creates the park space that the city would like. And it's a big area. It's a big area. And the way we structured it, we really think those homes along 16 through 21 would be really ideal. They would really be nice, higher-end homes in the residential. That would be in phase 3. And that's what we talked about phase 3. There's 36 lots. Those primarily are private homes, residential. There's no income restrictions on that at all. We think it would be a a really nice area. We've seen the work you've done in the past, and you've got some beautiful homes out there, and we think this would be another complement to that piece along the way. And so the other thing I tried to do is give you an idea of time frame of how we see this potentially unfolding. And so the key marks for us is every spring. So spring 2021, phase 1. Spring 2022, phase 2. Spring 2023, phase 3. And I thought if we were really good and ambitious and the world went our way, this whole thing might be wrapped up 2028 or 2029. There'll be a lot or two. That's not going to be slow, just the way it works. So that's kind of our plan for the phasing. And as I mentioned, in phase 1, we're geared up to go after it hard. And in the spring, we're ready.
Any questions around this map or the things that you see on it?
The senior living here, what is that entail? Is that like a nursing home or what is it?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So our thought again, without calling lots 1 through 13 senior living, but the way I structured the association, low maintenance, snow removal taken care of, it's going to be appeal more to the my generation, a little older crowd. If I can go back to the senior living, I'll get it there. So there's another number of options here in the senior living. Again, I've been in the senior living business for 30 years. I've probably built and managed over 30 major projects from the ground up, including assisted living, memory care, and independent living with services. So as I mentioned the group before here, we have a lot of experience in that area. So if we determine in that senior living area that there's a need for assisted living, memory care, and a little bit of independent living with some services, that's what we would build, and that's what we would run. If for some reason we thought maybe the need and the demand was more for senior living with services, that's probably what we build. And what I mean by limited services for senior living, it's light cleaning, it's one meal a day, it's typically laundry a day, so you don't have a huge staff like you do with assisted living or memory care. So we have the ability to, and the experience to really determine what goes in that senior living area. And once we get to know the community a little bit better, I think that decision will get figured out pretty quick. But the key is to get those 13 in there, get that association in, get that flowing, get that feel right. If that feels like a senior community, then it makes total sense to have a hub for the seniors. And we built senior facilities in Flandreau and Sisseton and Howard, and some of the smaller communities where most people thought we were crazy. But we found out that if you build them right, you've got enough market demand, including labor, which is always tricky. It's really good for communities of this size to maintain those residents, especially if they start to age in place in these townhomes. They typically like to stay in the area if they can. So I don't have an exact answer for you. I just know that I can provide anywhere from independent living to memory care to assisted living if we determine the need is there. We can deliver on that through our property management division.
And license to the state, I mean, each individual will require licensure, how do you?
It is, yep. You process of the state has two functions. They look at your building structure out of Pier and they rip it apart. And then there's actually an operations department that's out of Mitchell. And so once you get approved they both work hand in hand from the state, then you actually are licensed in your facility, and then you're subjected to all the state regulations that they manage. We're quite used to that.
So behind lots 1, 2, and 3, is that parking, is that what I'm?
Yeah, that was parking. And we just kind of put that as a holder place right now.
So for zoning, you guys plan on doing planning and development? I should probably, Scott Richardson, the director of planning and zoning.
Oh, great, yeah.
So do you plan on doing a PUD, or how do you plan on handling your zoning per phase?
We'd like to work with you, whatever the best approach is. Yeah. We've done it lots of different ways. Yeah, but getting to planning and zoning is really critical early on, and what you were comfortable with and your approach, and yeah, we've done revised plan, buds, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's tricky because, yeah, when you start mixing the zoning, yeah, the city's got to feel comfortable with it. And remember that slide before, the city's really important in the zoning and approval process. Yeah.
So in your experience, when you have to deal with railways that abut up to residential districts, how do your lot sales go?
I've never experienced that. I wasn't really aware